Hello, Jack. I'm back. I'm sorry for being late, but had a little problems with the household. Things needed fixing, so but I did fix them, and now I'm here. Anyway, I want to take a trip down the memory lane because I've watched the latest game that came out, Wolverine. Incredibly disappointing. Not that I had any hopes for it. It's at the point where I don't even care about these video games, to be honest. But even though like you don't care, you see some of the imagery, you see some of the ghastly visage that they put into these video games, and you're like, wow, Jesus Christ! Like I can't even make fun of it. It's just sad. Like, let me show you. All right. So in case you haven't seen my video on my secondary channel, in the Wolverine game, there was leaked imagery. And I assume at this point that is the artists themselves that are leaking it. And as you can see here, it shows the original art, which, to be honest, it looks quite bad, you know, like for a AAA game. It's not just the characters that look bad, but like the environment as well. I mean, come on, it's 2024. But then the consultants got involved, and look what they did to Jean. Like, this is supposed to be the hot waifu that's the romance interest between Scott and Wolverine. I mean, in any comic book, in any representation, like, she's very good looking. And they made her, like, I don't even know, it's like a crackhead, I guess. I mean, the facial features, everything, she kind of looks like a man in a wig, but, like, I guess I've seen worse. So, you know, she passes, for a female character. But again, this is Jean, right? Like, this is one of the sexiest female characters in the entire Marvel universe. And this is how they're making her, right? And the original one wasn't that bad. Now, if you want to see like a way that you can make her in order to have some sense, look at Marvel vs. Capcom. I mean, this is an old game, and Phoenix, I think her name was in Marvel. Yeah, it's an old game, and it's a lot closer to the source material than this shit. I mean, here you have the trailer for it. Right? And look at this. Like, she looks feminine. Like she looks like a woman, right? Long hair. Doesn't have like obscenely big breasts, but like she does have boobs, like women do, and there's no strong jawline or anything. It's just like a petite looking woman that's also muscular, athletic, and, you know, bright red hair. Not just like brown. It's like, no, like bright red hair. And it's very awesome. You know, like this looks sexy. It looks cool. It's pretty much what teenagers are into, and what I grew up with. This is like a game that when did it came out? Like 13 years ago? And look how awesome it is. Like, you can play it today, and this, you know, due to the fact that the AAA games that come out now are so horrendous, this actually looks serviceable. Right, so this really depressed me in a while, because I actually want to play some video games. Like, I miss the times when I was hyped up for video games, and I want to show you what that looked like, right? I want to take us back into the memory lane and pretend that this is 2005, right? So the year is 2005, and it's January, and you're looking on what games would come out that year. Now I remember there were websites like GameStop at the time, and they had like this calendar which showed you the games that are coming out in that particular year. So let's look at what we would have in 2005. Sorry. So Resident Evil 4 comes out. I don't think it needs any introduction, right? Like, clearly one of the best games in the series comes out, right? Like, people had to wait until October to get it on PlayStation 2, but like, that's just like one entrance, right? Civilization 4. This was an amazing game, especially at the time when you didn't have multiplayer. I mean, you did have multiplayer, but like, most people didn't have a strong internet connection to use it. So what you would do is, like, you would play a hot seat game, and you would just get some of your friends, and you'd get together, you'd play some Civ 4. Metal Gear Solid 3. All these games are coming out in the same year, right? GTA, San Andreas. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. Not one of the best in the franchise. Not one of the best in the franchise, but like compared to what we have today, if this game came out, it would have been golden. Like, this game would sweep the markets if it came out today with updated graphics and everything. And some quality of life improvements. Yeah, like, Civ is one of the best games at all time, and it also had, like, one of the mods that I really, really loved, and they would never make it today. The mod was called Colonization. And in Colonization, you get to pick different factions. I mean, you have the Brits, you got the Dutch, the French, and I think, like, there was one more, the Spanish, yeah. And you get to the New World, and you gotta make a base, and you deal with the native tribes, and you're making alliances. And the king from the old world is constantly raising up taxes. And at one point, you gotta declare independence, and you gotta stave off the armies that are coming from the old world. And if you manage to do that, then you win the game. And they would never make this game. Like, they would never greenlight it. They would never allow it today. But it was, like, so great because you start with so little, right? So you're in the New World. You rely on commerce with the old world in the beginning. You gotta talk with the Indian natives, and some of them have, like, different specializations, like fishing, hunting, and you learn from them. And then you invent the printing press in order to spread the revolutionary spirit. And once you have 50% Liberty Bells, that's when you can declare independence. And when you do, you're attacked heavily by the king at home. It's an amazing game, and unfortunately, they will never manage to create something like it. Colonization was a great game, but not a mod. It was a variant. I think it was a mod, if I remember correctly. From what I know, like, Colonization was a standalone game on the DOS, like, very, very old. And with Civ 4, like, someone made a mod of it. Whatever, it doesn't matter if it's a new game or not. It was amazing. Look at this, God of War, right? So, like, in the same year, in the same fucking year, chat, you get Resident Evil 4, you get God of War, you get Civ 4, you get Guitar Hero. I mean, this game was a huge success, right? Like, it was a phenomenon. There were many people that were into it. Shadow of Colossus, like, I really didn't like this game. A lot of people did. I never got into it. And it's because it felt so boring until you find the next Colossus. The gameplay loop was like you're riding around in this barren wasteland that only has the Colossus in it. And once you find the Colossus, you gotta figure out, like, how you climb on top of it so you kill it. And that's the gameplay loop. And I just didn't like it, but it was very popular. Like, a lot of people enjoyed it. Whatever, you know, still, just because I didn't like it doesn't mean it's not necessarily a good game. Now, I want to point out that this is considered to be a bad year for video games. Bad in the sense that there weren't that many cool things that came out. But as you can see, the total US sales of video game hardware and software accessory rose 6% to 10.5 billion, right? So, like, this wasn't just good for the gaming industry, it was good for the tech industry, right? Like, the software and accessories were selling because everyone wanted to upgrade their computer, because the previous year another game comes out, and that is Crysis. Now, Crysis was an amazing game at the time, and what you need to understand is the mentality that game developers used to have, right? So let me see if I can actually find a trailer of Crysis, so that if you never played it, or, you know, you maybe heard about it but you didn't have the rig to play it, you can see how it looks like. And I'm actually, like, curious how it stands out compared to the graphics from today. So Crysis is like one of these games that you needed a beast of a computer just to be able to play. If you didn't have, like, the best settings, if you didn't have, like, the best hardware, you could play it, but you had to play it on minimum settings. So like you had to take down the resolution to the minimum, you had to put all the details to very low. And even then, the loading time and the lag was insufferable. But the developers, they knew this, right? Like the developers knew, like, most people will not be able to play this game. Like we are just appealing to a very niche group of people with this product. And what ends up happening is that it becomes a cultural phenomenon. And even people that years later would assess on how good the graphics card is, they would use Crysis as a benchmark. And again, like, this is, I think it's like 10 years ago. Oh, never mind. Hold on. This is the remaster version, right? I want to see like how the actual game looked like. Yeah, this is like 12 years ago. And it looks pretty similar to what like AAA games look today. Right? It's like, I can definitely see like a AA game or even a AAA game coming. Like, I mean, Wolverine probably looks worse than this, let's face it. And the gameplay was kind of, I mean, I don't know. I never got into it as much as I wanted to, just because you could stealth. And the moment you stealthed, the enemies didn't know where you were. Like, they didn't have any sort of detection or whatever unless you fired. So it was such an OP advantage that it trivialized the game. Basically, the gameplay loop was that you had several abilities and you had to pick one. You could go maximum strength, and with maximum strength, your melee damage was insane. And you could also like punch cars and send them flying into the enemies. You could go maximum armor, which would give you, I guess, like a double health bar, a regenerative health bar, if you will. And then you had the stealth mode, and I think like, oh yeah, it was also maximum speed. And with maximum speed, everything slowed down, and you get to see bullet time and stuff, right? So you picked one of these four, and that was the gameplay loop. And the guns were kind of Call of Duty-ish, with a couple of exceptions. Like, you had a bow, I guess. But again, like, the main important thing is, like, the developers took risks. Like, they didn't go, oh, let's make, like, the cheapest looking game so that more people can play it. No, they were like, let's make the most awesome, breathtaking looking game that people will want to upgrade hardwares in order to play it. And you know what? Like, that's literally what happened. I think, like, in the first year that this game came out, it didn't register a lot of sales, but, like, as time moved on, more and more people would upgrade their computer. And the first thing they would do, like, the first thing that people did when they decided to buy a new graphics card was to purchase Crysis. Like, it was literally like the game that you would upgrade a computer for. You would be like, okay, I got new RAM, I got a new CPU, I got a new graphics card, I need to buy Crysis. And this was actually part of the meme, you know? It's like, but can it run Crysis? Like, this is what people constantly asked. Crysis 3 still looks comparable to a lot of modern AAA games in terms of graphics, but the gameplay is nowhere near as fun as the first game. Yeah, no, like, the gameplays, they were never that much fun for me, but it wasn't bad, though. Like, it was a decent shooter, I would say. And I remember, like, in the first game, you could also drive cars, and that was, like, something pretty cool for the time. Like, the idea of driving vehicles, like you do in Far Cry, was something that very few games were doing. So when you saw it, it's like really cool. Okay, well, you can you couldn't fly helicopters though, but you could drive cars. I don't think there's been a game that has been such a benchmark as Crysis. I think like Doom, maybe? I don't know. Doom has like impressive graphics, right? But other than Doom, yeah, there hasn't been any games that came out recently which I would say, wow, like this game looks so fucking gorgeous. Cyberpunk, I guess, to some extent, but even then. That used to be PC gaming, like with Unreal Tournament, a new graphics card. The thing with Unreal Tournament was one of the last arena shooters. Can you run Crysis at max settings? I think you can actually now. I think like most computers can handle it. Let me show you Unreal Tournament. Like I was so upset when they decided to Sorry about that. When they decided to stop making Unreal games, and they just focused on the engine. So Unreal was this arena shooter, and unfortunately, Call of Duty just destroyed this genre. And I don't know why. Even Doom comes out and it still refuses to do the arena shooter. So arena shooters were very high-paced games that you're moving around really fast, and you have like all these weird weapons. It's not like Call of Duty where every single fucking gun is the same. I'm trying to find an actual Unreal Tournament game so I can show it to you. But like you had like this gun that, for instance, would shoot buzzsaws, and the buzzsaws would ricochet off the walls. You had another gun that would shoot goo, and if you step in the goo, you take damage, like that type of thing, right? And you also had vehicles. I remember like the rocket launcher. If you charged it, it would fire like 5 rockets. And this is what arena shooters were like. Now most arena shooters involved you playing alone in a free-for-all battle royale type of setting, right? So you would start with your pistol, and you would pick up weapons, and then you would kill enemies. And when you killed an enemy, you got a point. And when you got killed, you lost a point. And usually the server would just go on indefinitely like that. Some servers would be like, okay, the first person that reaches like 50 points wins. And then you would look at the ladder. But there was no like rank, there was nothing like that. It was only like you just log on a server and you play until you get bored. But the cancer started when they added the team game mode, right? So like as you can see here, you got like the teams. I personally like really didn't like this aspect. I like the free-for-all one so that you can show who is the best. Half-Life is the one that and Quake was the type of game where it's like, all right, well, can you actually win? Can you actually reach to the 50 frags before everyone else? And you get Call of Duty and it completely destroys the genre. And again, like, this is 14 years ago, right? Like, at the time, this was absolutely breathtaking. Like the idea of having a shooter in such a wide open area, because now it looks boring, right? Like, now it's like, there's many games that do this and 10 times better. But at the time, it was really, really impressive. Especially the idea of using vehicles. Like, this was really cool. Especially vehicles where you could get a partner in it, right? So, like, if you had a friend on the microphone, you could commandeer a vehicle, and both of you would, like, one would pilot and the other would fire. Yeah. And unfortunately, we never got another Unreal. I don't know why, though, because it was popular, like, people were playing it, but for some reason, I guess, like, people didn't buy it enough. I miss arena shooters, says Mr. J. Unreal Tournament 2004 was the best of all time. Call of Duty is such garbage compared to... I never understood why people like Call of Duty, to be honest. I mean, I understand why people would like the single-player aspect, right? It was like a World War II type of game in the beginning. But, every gun is the same. Like, maybe the recoil is a little bit different, but, you know, compared to arena shooters where you have, like, a gun that shoots goo. Or a gun that shoots lightning, and you gotta, you know, move fast and strafe and shit. Call of Duty is like so boring. Slow, methodical. I just never got into it, but like a lot of people liked it, so. V, can you still get Unreal Tournament still? If you can find it, I'll play it with you. Nah. The thing with all these old games is that the quality of life isn't there. Right, so I've been spoiled, I gotta say, by the new games. And if you were to play like one of these old games, it just wouldn't be the same. I never liked Quake 3. It was all about the rocket launcher, and I hated the rocket launcher. No, my favorite games were Unreal, Half-Life 1 and 2. I actually did like Quake 1. I was really good in Quake 1. And I think that's pretty much it, yeah. Didn't like Call of Duty. Never did. Call of Duty is slow, methodical. Have you seen the Zoomer cardiac? Hey, look, man, I only know how Call of Duty looked like when I used to be playing it. If they changed it, I don't know. Oh yeah, another game that was absolutely amazing, and this is a game that got killed by a woke cancer called fuck, I forgot. But the game that I really liked, and it was actually one of my favorite games ever, is Titanfall. Right? So Titanfall was this really fast-paced game where you also get to go into a Titan. And it had like a really cool debut. A lot of people played it. But then, for some fucking reason, it just stopped. Well, actually, I know what happened with it. So Titanfall 1 was great, but it didn't have a single player. And a lot of people were really upset about the fact that it doesn't have a single player, so it got really bad reviews due to it. But the multiplayer was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, holy shit. Like, look at the parkour aspect of it, right? Like, everyone loved it. And then you call the Titan, and it's really great. And there's ways that you can fight Titans while on foot, and there's ways you can fight Titans with other Titans. So it was an amazing game. Now, Titanfall 2 comes out, and it comes out when another game was launched. I forgot which, but basically it came out in the same month, and it pretty much killed the sales of Titanfall 2. And Titanfall 2 has one of the most amazing single-player stories that I have ever played in a shooter game. Like, it's one of the best stories in any FPS game. It's not even that long, but it's so well done. It's so amazing. And unfortunately, many people never got to play it because I forgot which other game came out. I don't know if it was Doom. It may have been Doom. I don't know. But like, there was this other game which attracted all attention from Titanfall 2, so it didn't get the sales required. And then it also had like two more problems. The first problem was that the multiplayer wasn't as good as the first one. They did a couple of decisions which didn't work out for them. I forgot exactly which one, but I think like the Titans weren't as strong or some shit like that. Anyway, the multiplayer wasn't that good. And the second problem was the other game that came out. Now, what ends up happening is that they used the engine of Titanfall, and they made this really woke game that Rags really loved. I guess because other streamers played it. I forgot the name of it, fuck. But that one just killed the Titanfall franchise. Oh, and there was like another issue with Titanfall. There were a lot of hackers, and they never fixed the problem. So you'd go into, like, look at this shit. Look how fucking cool it is. Like, why don't they make games like this anymore? Look at this. Anyway, yeah. So they made this very woke garbagey game, and I remember like the reason I'm saying it's woke garbagey is that there was an E3. I forgot which one. I think it was 7 years ago, give or take. Apex Legends. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, the Rags game. So I'm watching Apex Legends on an E3, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm not really into it, but like, let's see what it's about. And they announced that they introduced this new character, and this new character is a bisexual woman. Like, that's literally how it started. That's literally like their best foot forward. It's like, you need to like this character because with her you can fuck other women. I don't even know why they said that, but again, it's a first-person shooter game, and they're like, you get to play as this bisexual woman. And then they go into her story, and then, like, her story was that she designed the arena, and she is the smartest person in the world. I think she was like a black lady, but it was like underage, like a black lolly, something like 14, 15. Anyway, she was like the super extremely smart scientist. Everyone loves her. She swung both ways. And they talk about this for like 2 or 3 fucking hours, chat. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's like the most boring ever presentation ever imaginable. They don't talk about like her gear. They don't talk about her abilities. It's literally just like her sexuality, her race, her gender, and then how amazingly awesome she is and how everyone likes her. Yeah, literally the bestest ever. Everyone likes her. Every single other champion in the game from Apex Legends absolutely adores her. And then they talk a little bit about her abilities, which look cancerous as fuck as well. I think like she got to play shields or some shit. But yeah. The Dungeons and Dragons campaign, people keep asking me, so I'll just say it really quick. I'll say it in one sentence. I already announced it, but okay. You guys know that we had issues with Rags, right? So like Rags gets kicked from the campaign, and Dev comes up the next day, and he basically says something like, "Oh, it's not fair what happened to Rags. Like, we need to announce it to the chat. We need to tell the chat what happens." And we're like, just, okay, well, just tell him that stuff happened and this is how things will move forward. And it's like, no, like, the chat needs to know with exact detail what happened. And it's like, Dev, why the fuck are you causing drama? Why are you causing drama now? You know, it's just like, let's move on. Let's just play the fucking game. No, he really wants to, because Rags is my friend, and with my friend, I don't want any fake news and misinformation. And I'm like, all right, we'll tell it. So we announced it, and then like all the super chats are causing drama, right? Like every single super chat is like stirring the pot, and it's fine, you know. But like finally we're past it, and the next day Dev is like, well, actually, I don't want to play anymore, because, like, if you guys want to start a new campaign, I'll play it, but it just doesn't feel right to Rags. And I'm like, okay, so we decided to cancel, and we're going to play something else, without Dev, and without Rags, and with someone else. So that's what's going to happen. We're arranging it now. It's going to get mechs in it. There's someone that you guys will probably like. Hold on, I missed American Outlier Super Chat. Holy shit. Hi V, hope your day is good. What's on the menu? Yeah, sorry for missing super chats. Apparently that's on the menu, but it's off. It's off. I took it off the menu now. Yeah, no, like the thing with them that I don't get, because I even asked him and he failed to respond me, and it's like something that I genuinely want to know is, if you wanted to pop off, like that's fine, but like why did you come for one more day just to stir the shit? Right? So like why would you just join for one more session in order to stir the pot? If you were going to leave anyway, like that doesn't make sense to me. It seems a little bit malevolent. It just doesn't sit well with me. It's bizarre. Rated Terror, thank you for the $10. V, I played Titanfall 2 back in the day, and the multiplayer was fun. I played Epics when it came out, and they just copy and pasted all abilities to the heroes. Yeah, like the thing with Apex is like Titanfall without the Titans. That's how I got it. Like the coolest shit about Titanfall was the Titans themselves. And then Apex was way too paused for me. It was like way over the line. Like every single character was like some sort of like checkbox. And I remember like the controversy that really made me decide not to play the game. It had this character, I think it was non-binary. Bloodhound, Bloodhunter, some shit like that. Very non-binary character. And they would ban people who misgender this character on the forums because it went by they, them. So if you went on the forums and you would say he, the developers themselves would ban you. Well, now we know that it was the community managers, but like the community managers are working hand in hand with the developers, right? So all in all, it was just really bad. When I saw that, I was like, I'm not interested in this game. Like, I'm sorry. Maybe the best game ever, but. By the way, I keep noticing my microphone is picking. I'll try to put it away from my mouth, just out of curiosity. Alright. Is this any better? Like, is my volume better now, chat? Because I don't get it. It's supposed to be like at the smallest gain ever imaginable, and for some reason it's picking as if I'm talking into it. Rule 34 Apex Legends. Are there even characters that are worthy of the honor of getting Rule 34? Oh, you can't hear anything? Oh, I see. Oh no, I'll bring it back. Yeah, I'll have to make some tests. Basically what's happening, like as you can see here, this audio input thing, like it's supposed to be in the green, right? And when it's in the red, it's not good. And with me, it's almost always in the red. And I don't know what happened with the microphone. I mean, it's lowered in volume. It's got minimum gain, but for some reason, it's still, yeah. Wasn't clipping noticeably? I see. So anyway, I wanted to show you guys this. So this is made by one of the artists that currently works in Dungeons and Dragons. This is official artwork. And the reason that they did this is because they went out of their way to try and paint into the public's mind that orcs are drawn this way because the original people who created the game Dungeons and Dragons were racist. And they were thinking of black people when they made the orcs, right? Which is completely false, because Dungeons and Dragons is made in the, I think it's like in the UK, back in the... Does the game have like more than 70 years? I think it does, right? Like, the idea that the people there made the game as a social political commentary of race relations in the United States is absolutely asinine, like completely ridiculous. But yeah, like they said, yeah, like orcs are like, in their opinion, orcs symbolizes Americans, and they needed to change it. And instead, like, apparently they made them wearing traditional Mexican attire. With a little bit of the Californian look. Like right here, we got the Californian lifestyle, right? And despite the fact that these orcs are living in the desert and shit, there's enough food to sustain this type of... American Architect, one of the best episodes ever of the new D&D, and Dev immediately whines and quits. I guess getting BTFO'd every session has its limits. I did talk with people and I said, well, maybe, you know, like, giving Dev struggle sessions every single episode wasn't the correct thing to do. I generally don't know. Like, it's just weird the way he reacted. Why join another session, start up shit, and then quit? It's a bad look. You know, very bad optics. But anyway, so, yeah, the mental illness haircut is there. But not only that, like notice that if you want to be... Basically, like what do we see when we looked at how the entertainment that we grew up with was? So let's look at Marvel vs. Capcom Phoenix, right? Like this is... So when you look at this is like almost every single fantasy for teenagers that I grew up with. You get like the pretty waifu, and you know, she does cool shit, right? So like she's casting fire magic, she's very athletic, right? And it's really cool, right? Like this is what teenagers like. This is what I liked when I grew up. A little bit of sex appeal and a lot of cool stuff, right? Like all the moves that she does are super cool. If you turn the sound on, it makes the game even cooler. Now, when you look at what we're being offered now in entertainment, for a while the coolness was still there, but now the coolness is gone as well, and the sex appeal is definitely not there. If you want sex appeal, you gotta transition, right? So you need to find like a gender clinic and transition, and once you transition, you get access to this. Right, you get access to this if you transition, right? So like if you swing differently, you have the macho man over here. Like this is also acceptable, right? But if you don't want to transition, you get this, right? So for the people that aren't interested in transitioning, this is for you. You will never have any type of C-sized or D-sized breasts in fiction, because that's hypersexualized. You will get this, you know, the manly characters, but yeah, so this is where modern entertainment is for, because we all know that heteronormativity is evil, and the reason we know is because we listen to the developers. Like they actively state, that, yeah, like they hate heteronormativity. Anything that's heteronormative and the male gaze is evil. And honestly, like, that's what bothers me, because if you want to make something that doesn't have any sex appeal, I'm fine. Like, for instance, Hitman, right? Hitman has no sex appeal, and I'm not criticizing the game. It's because it's a different type of genre, right? And the people who made it for the coolness factor. But now they are making it for teenagers, and they're going out of the way to send the message that if you're a teenager who's interested in women, you are the Khmer. Like, the Khmer is the worst thing that society has to offer. It's worse than the Joe Biden administration. It's worse than the people that put la cocaína in the White House. Like the Khmer is the greatest evil that America has ever faced in its entire history, right? Like, worse than the communists, worse than the Russia. Like, behind even the Nazis stands the Khmer. The Khmer is the ultimate beast. It's the incarnation of everything sinful in the world. So the Khmer and the male gaze, they go hand in hand. If you're a person that transitioned and you're now a woman, you can actually watch respectfully a naked man with a strong chest. Like, that's fine, right? That's not what the Khmer does. If you go back in time and you look at all those women that were lusting after underage Justin Bieber, that is also part of the grand culture. That is acceptable, right? But if you look at an anime girl with big fucking tits and plump ass in a video game, you are the Khmer. Like, you are the embodiment of the haram. You are like, nothing else in the world can be more evil than the Khmer. And it's, God, I don't even know where to begin with this. But it's very demoralizing. I'm so glad I'm not a teenager anymore, because, like, my God, like, if culture was the way it's now, it would have been a little bit demoralizing. Like, you would think that, all these thoughts that I'm getting, I'm looking at all these video games from back in the day, and I am getting aroused. I guess I'm evil. I guess, like, something's wrong with me. Man, like, when I grew up, it was the same shit, but it was with violence, right? Because, again, I said this in a previous stream, but like, my grandmother and many other people were shocked about, like, the violent video games that I was playing. It's like, okay, so, like, you are actually the character in GTA. Like, you actually get to control it. It's like, why do you shoot police officers? Like, why would you want to do that? Like, are you unhinged? Like, will you do that in real life? You'll go to prison. And it's like, well, yeah, but, like, it's a video game. It's like, well, why don't you stop at the red light? Like, what? So, like, if you get a car in real life, you're going to drive? Like, no, it's a video game. But that's like the culture that I grew up with. Artemis Fowl, Lizzo Orc spotted the Lizzo or oh my goodness. You're trying to get me in trouble. Right, so the thing with the Orcs though, it's also the main reason, I would say, why current video games suck. And hold on, give me a second so I can put the picture back on the screen and we can talk about it. Right, so like, this goes a lot deeper than just cringe. Like, this is what ruins video games. Like, here's the thing. I will give you $1 million. Unironically, well, actually, I can't give you $1 million. I don't have them. I give you 100,000. I'll sell my fucking house. But the challenge is to make a campaign that's like this and it's fun to play. And you need to maintain the same spirit, the same vibe. It would be boring as fuck, wouldn't it? Like, how can you even make a campaign like this that's remotely interesting? And you need to maintain the same vibe. Like, do not cast something grim dark. No, like, you need to go adventuring with these people. Holy fucking shit! Like, Jesus. But the thing is, like, when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, right? Because like, all of them were defending the decision. It's like, oh, if you're a game master and you can't create villains that are interesting more than, oh, villain guy bad, then you're a bad game master. And it's like, no, I think you're an imbecile. I'm sorry. Like, when you create a game world, obviously you're going to have, like, your cerebral villains that have deep motivations and shit. But sometimes you just need a baddie that can't be reasoned with. Because there are people who play D&D, and they like to min-max, and they just like to play a fighter, and they're not interested in conversation, they just want to roll dice. And those people require content as well. So sometimes it's nice if you can throw some goblins at the paladin so the paladin can smash. Now, if you throw these things at the paladin, well, the paladin can't smash because he's lawful good and he already took an oath, and if he stops being lawful good, then he loses his powers, right? So if the characters are willing to negotiate, it becomes a talking game rather than an adventure game. And it's shit. So basically what you got left is like you can throw wolves and animals and shit at the party. But they're not as interesting simply due to the fact that they don't collaborate with each other, right? They don't cooperate. Meanwhile, if you have orcs, well, they can have like different tactics and battle formations, and they're actually smart, and they can lay traps and have like various siege weapons, and they got magic of their own and shit. Like that creates interesting settings. However, if you just have like wolves and stuff for the sake of the paladin to be able to fight, that's kind of lame, right? And it makes everything fucking genetic. Like the whole purpose of fantasy is to have like these different races, and you know the elves live in the forest and the dwarves in the mountains and shit, and they have like different cultures, and it creates amazing exploration opportunities as well as great drama. Because like if the dwarves and the elves are fighting with each other, but now they have to settle aside their differences in order to face Sauron, which is a greater evil, well, how do you have in the party like two different characters that hate each other, you know? How do they set aside their racial grievance? Like, it causes great drama. It causes amazing storytelling. This is genetic sanitized shit. There's no drama that this can cause, which is more powerful than what you see at an American corporation. Like, I expect the HR orc to have a conversation with the adventurer and tell him to check his privilege or some shit. So ideology is put in front of the actual game. It's put in front of the actual product, right? This is not an interesting adventure. Like, there's nothing that's happening here that is, wow, I really wish I would live in this world. There's absolutely nothing that would captivate me. Now let's look at something that's different, right? Like something that was very popular at the time and compare it. But first, let me read through some super chats. The Khmer Legion will prevail. Well, you know, like most people do like Khmerism. So it wouldn't be $1 billion industry if it only was like some fringe weirdos on the internet that support it. This is weird how the left saw orcs and thought, ah yes, black people. First time I hear that and I was like, what the fuck? I read plenty of fantasy comics, no one that comes to mind. Actually, orcs, if I was to hazard to guess, would be influenced by Norwegians, right? Because Dungeons and Dragons is a British game, right? And you live on the island of England, and all of a sudden you have like these people coming to the shores and they're pillaging and looting, and they don't even speak your language, and all they seem to do is violence. Like from that cultural aspect, from that encounter, you would be like, well, like they're really bad individuals, right? So that's what influenced in British culture the concept of like a group of how should I put it? Because they're not. Yeah, it's what created the mythos, I guess. But no, like we need to look at it today and listen to the people that inherited the IP and their dumb takes. V being the Khmer is good if you're lusting over the HR hag or Gorlock. Yeah, but like they know no man lusts over that, right? So it's kind of like insulting and demeaning. Like that's pretty much what they're trying to do. Like they trying to demean you and be like, no, like it's normal for you to lust over Gorlock. And it's like, no, I don't wanna. Like I'm sure she's a nice person. I'm sure she's a nice lady, but I don't feel myself romantically attracted to it. If they want to claim orcs are just basketball Americans, then fine. Obese orcs and women are lizorcs. No, they're basically saying that people falsely assume that they are, but you should not have these types of races in video games because it reinforces the negative stereotype. The negative stereotype that they themselves brought up because literally no one was believing it. Seriously though, like, I have never associated orcs with Americans, ever. In fact, I wasn't even associating them with humans at all. It's like they're the negative race that you need to fight in order to get experience. I think like the only exception would be the Warhammer 40k Orcs, because they speak with a Cockney accent. So like that, but like the idea behind it, like the people who made the Warhammer franchise, they did them because of representation of football hooligans. That's what they went with. It's a parody, right? So they're not even like an ethnicity or anything. It's just like football hooligans. They like to drink, they like to fight, and they believe red makes it faster. Like that was the whole thing. But no, of course. There's even like articles written about it as saying that the people who made it were trying to suggest that it's the working class. This way, there is a diverse representation. The latest trend on Twitter is that if you don't find Gorlock attractive, you must be gay. I have seen this on the left and the right. No, usually what they do, like I've never seen this trend, but what they do is they will suggest that if you don't like this, give me a second. Like I have seen many people say this, and the reason they say it is because they want to shock you into submission. Like they want you to say to be shocked by the accusation. So again, like this is the original Jean Grey, right? And this is the one that Sweet Baby made, which literally looks like a man in a wig or like a 50-year-old woman. And if you say that you don't like this, if you say that she looks like a man, or if you say that she's too old, they will accuse you of being a pedophile. They'll be like, so you must be into little kids then. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that there is a difference between a child and this. Like there must be something in between that's neither child nor this that people can be into. Like if you're not into grandma, why would you assume that the person is into kid? But again, like this is the mentality of Twitter. Like this is what people on Twitter suggest, right? And to be honest, even this is ugly. Like no. But it's ugly for a different reason. However, the age is perfectly fine. But we now know actually why they keep casting elderly characters. It's part of the inclusivity stuff. Like Blizzard had some of internal documents leaked, and like one of the diversity chart is actually the age of the character. So like if the character is over the age of 40, that gives them like bonus points for. And there was like literally an artist working at Suicide Squad, and they were basically upset that they presented a lot of good-looking black female characters, and the result was completely different than what they initially suggested, and that the characters were older and they look like the aunt that you see at the grocery store. And it's like, yeah, I mean, duh. First thing we do is censored all the HR ladies. I don't even know where the problems are at this point, to be honest. They're so infiltrated into these companies that it's difficult to actually censor them. I think Steam actually got rid of them. Like, Steam started this diversity initiative, and it was like anyone from the company can join, right? So, like, if you're big on diversity, you could have joined this department, and they allowed it to stay open for a couple of months, and then they fired everyone from that department. So it was like literally a honey trap. The first time I heard the Orcs were considered to be B people from Extra Credits video back in 2018. Literally the left was bringing it up. Like no one was bringing it up. At no point did I even remotely associate it. It's just so fucking weird. But anyway, right. So I wanted to show you the difference between how amazing games were made and how it's now. And I want to point out that this was actually better than fucking anime, right? It's like, you know when they say, oh, well, if you don't like a 65-year-old woman, what type of women you like? And the answer is, well, these types of women are cool. Why don't we get them anymore? And the thing is, unironically, this is a lost art. They just don't exist. You cannot find Westerners that can draw like this. I actually spoke with another indie developer, and he was talking about like the art style that the West used to have with Neverwinter Nights and, you know, World of Warcraft and all these other games. And he basically said that in order to get a person to draw this at this level of quality, he would have to constantly draw them for years. And right now, the only way you can draw good women is with anime, because the West stopped drawing these things. Like, even the artists in the West that were drawing are now moving to anime. So you can probably find a couple of artists that can draw like this, but the problem is that you need a lot, and you need them to be consistent and draw like each other. So what the West has now is the Has-Been Hotel type of drawing, the Rick and Morty type of drawing, the CalArts type of drawings. Meanwhile, if you want sex appeal, you gotta go to anime. But the West used to BTFO anime out of the fucking water. They used to have characters that were so interesting that the moment they were on the screen for 5 seconds, you're instantly attracted to the character. Like, wow, this is amazing. I want to know a little more. So, like, look what made the game great, right? Like, it starts like this. Immediately you're drawn in, right? Like, the music, fucking amazing. You get to see this guy standing in the fucking blizzard. I'm already hooked. I already want to go adventure. I want to be this guy's friend. I want to go on a tavern with him and talk to him. Like, this is so fucking good. Look how badass he is. It's like, the cold is there. I would probably freeze my nuts off, but this guy just doesn't give a shit. And notice how he has earrings, and it doesn't come off as being not heteronormative. Like, it's so badass, he can wear earrings without problem. I bet he can even wear a man bun and he wouldn't care. I think, like, one of the reasons he comes out so manly is because he moves very little. Like, back in the day, animation was more subtle. Now everyone needs to spurg out every 5 seconds. If they don't spurg out, the animator feels like they didn't do a good job. This guy barely moves, and it's so fucking epic. And look how amazing this shit is, right? Like, immediately you go to the Savage Lady. The reason she's interesting is first of all, it's really different, right? Like, just the way she's dressed, it tells you that she's this feral lady. Like, she's incredibly dangerous. And on top of that, she's also good looking. You don't get that anymore. Okay, so now let's compare it with this shit. Like, which one is more likely to draw people in? Which one is more likely to sell copies? Right? Like, is this interesting? Like, in which universe would you rather be isekai than this shit? Or in this? Huh? I mean, how many seconds was it? Like, less than a minute, right? Because, like, the first couple of seconds is about them explaining the plot from what happened in Warcraft 3. I just got the minute, and I'm already hooked. Like, I want to play this game. I want to be like, oh shit, I want to go adventuring with this lady. And that dwarf. It looks like a world filled with mystery and wonder. This one looks like Mexico. There's no mystery, there's no wonder. Like what mystery is here? What wonder is here? It's like, they're acting like humans, they just, like, have different skin palette, I guess. Right? This one doesn't act like a human. This one is able to stand in the freezing cold with a motherfucking bear next to him. That's epic as fuck. That's metal. This one, it looks so amazing compared to any other woman I seen, right? Good body mass index. And on top of that, casts magic, is able to turn into a panther, has all these jewels and shit that shows that she's in touch with the forest. None of these people have anything interesting. They look like just average humans. They look like a fucking school field trip. I guess like the only thing about it is that they do hawkery, but like you can do that in real life as well. I really feel like I just don't want to waste time engaging with Western content at this point. No, I feel you. I feel you, and I keep telling people this, that this anime, it's like, well, okay, you don't want anime, that's fair enough, you know, but what else is there? What else is there? Like, people need some entertainment, right? Like, they go to a hard day at work, they come home, they need to do something. What can they possibly do? Watch Netflix? What's on Netflix that you like? What would you recommend from Netflix? The only thing that's good on Netflix is shit that's made in South Korea, like Squid Games. Kingdom. I would recommend those. But other than that, there's nothing. Do you think Romania will join NATO if they invade Russia or remain neutral? What do you mean? That's such a ridiculous question because Romania is part of NATO. So if NATO were to invade Russia, it depends on how it's happening, right? So the NATO agreement is that if one nation gets attacked, they all get attacked. So like, if Poland was to get attacked, then Romania would be obligated by international law to actually join it and defend, and we probably would. But if the NATO does the attacking, then it would be different. Then it would be, okay, well, the agreement is that if you get attacked, but you didn't get attacked, so chances are we would probably stay neutral. I don't know, though. I generally don't know. It also, like, takes into account how effective the war is like. Like, I would expect Romania to stay neutral for a while and then see how the war tide goes, but even then, it would probably be a very difficult decision, I would say, because we're also at the border, right? So there's that. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that. I mean, Russia, you know, is struggling with Ukraine. Russia expected that Ukraine would have been conquered by now, and it hasn't. So it is an embarrassment at an international scale. I do expect that Russia eventually is going to gain more ground. Okay, I'll give you my assessment on the whole Ukrainian-Russian conflict. And you guys know I'm pro-Ukraine. It's also due to the geographical region where I'm at. And it's like, just like Russia doesn't want to border NATO, Romania doesn't want to border Russia. But looking at it objectively and realistically, what's happening now in Ukraine is a war of attrition. Russia wants to actually occupy and rule Ukraine. It doesn't want to turn it into a wasteland. So it's a war of attrition. In a war of attrition, you need two things. You need artillery and you need manpower. Now, when it comes to manpower, it's obvious that Russia has the advantage. I mean, look at the map. It's a massive country compared to Ukraine. So they do have the numbers. They can throw a lot more soldiers than Ukraine can, even with mercenaries, right? So that's where the first advantage is. Now, let's look at artillery. Well, when it comes to artillery, the ammunition is the one that's important. And Ukraine has done, and the United States has done everything possible to gather as much ammunition as it can for Ukraine. I mean, they went around the world and they asked all of their allies and all of their partners to give as much ammunition as possible. The problem, though, is that after World War II, after the Cold War, actually, the Allies kind of decommissioned most of their ammunition factory because, like, it's okay. Well, the war is gone. We won. Like, there's no need for them. But Russia kept them going, and they also have dealings with other nations, just like the United States was going around the world trying to get ammunition. Russia did the same, and they got some from North Korea. They probably got some from China. So in the long run, like the longer this takes, the less advantage Ukraine has and the more advantage Russia has. So I generally see it as a potential forever war, but all in all, unless like something majorly changes, I don't see, Ukraine doing a good job in the future. It's simply because the numbers aren't there. But, this is my analysis. Hopefully I'm wrong. I do support Ukraine, as I said. Again, it's the geographical region and where I'm located, so there's that. But, like, Russia has always been a bad neighbor in the past. And it's even before the communist era. Like, I don't think there's a single contract that Romania signed with Russia or the Imperial Russia or any embodiment of that nation where Russia respected the contract. Like, surprisingly, the Ottoman Empire was a lot more consistent and a lot more respectful of the contracts that they signed with Romania than Russia. It is what it is. Could Ukraine win if they were willing to fight to the last man, women, and child? The ammunition is the problem. But, I mean, it's going to be difficult for the Russians to actually hold Ukraine, even if they take it, simply because of the guerrilla issue, right? The Americans actually thought that this is going to be a guerrilla thing, because they were like, okay, well, if Russia attacks, they're going to take Ukraine quite rapidly, but after that happens, we can just give weapons and munitions to, like, resistance fighters and guerrillas. But the fact that Ukraine didn't get BTFO'd in the first couple of hours made the Americans go like, wait, maybe we can actually fight this. But, yeah, it is what it is. Russia was very good to Korea and have never broke a contract treaty with us. Well, it's a different country, right? Like, different strategic interests, different positioning. They are so aligned that when it came to topics during the game, Rags was basically Dev's yes man with different opinions of his own. Probably. I didn't know this. It is what it is. Dev and Rags are just annoying. I can't understand how people like them, to be honest, but to each their own. I think, like, the thing with Dev is that when he's live streaming, he's not very good at making arguments, and he's not very socially aware of what's going around him. But his strength comes in the video essays that he does, right? So, like, when he takes a subject, analyzes it, and makes a video about it, it's very insightful, and this is why Dev is popular. Will Ukraine win if we vote for Joe Biden? Probably not. I mean, again, the way things are going, I don't think it's up to the... Like, the United States wants Ukraine to win, but, like, I just... Unless they somehow provide them with ammunition for, like, artillery, that's not going to happen. I just don't see it. Ukraine was part of Russia long before the USSR. Oh, well, it's... Hashtag it's complicated. Yeah, it kind of was, kind of wasn't. I mean, I know like the thing with the self-determination principle is, like, especially in Europe, like, most countries had territory belonging to another country. And if we were going to go by the fact that, well, at one point these people were my people, then like, every single nation in Europe would have to go to war now. Right? Like, even Romania and Hungary, there's a dispute over Transylvania. I mean, what was it? The Holy Roman Empire has a lot of claims to be made. You know, even the Brits, they would have, like, a lot of claims on the empire. So, like, the question is, like, how does this operate? It's like, oh, if you used to be part of a nation at some point, then it's okay for them to invade you? I don't know. It's a little bit exaggerated as a claim. V, all the fighting age Ukrainians are dead. It's just NATO troops in America fighting Ukraine. W3, World War III has been happening. I don't think so, to be honest. I mean, there were a lot of mercenaries, but I wouldn't say that all of the fighting age men are dead. I mean, there's videos coming from Ukraine with them being drafted and recruited, and they don't like it. So, like, I don't know where you're getting your information, but I don't think it's correct. I've seen online that a majority of Ukraine supports Israel and is anti-Palestine. I mean, probably, I don't know. They view America as an ally, and by extension, all the American allies, or you know, like, what is being shown in the Western press, people are willing to believe. Like you gotta understand, you're in Eastern Europe, like, most people don't know what a Democrat and a Republican is. Like for us, America is the land of freedom, right? It's the land where democracy happens. That's how many people here view America. And it's due to the fact that, like, most people aren't really that interested in the subject because it's a country that's a continent away. And most people are interested in the day-to-day affairs, right? I mean, there's fucking war. That's what they care about. So when they hear about America, they think about it tangentially, but, like, they don't know who Nancy Pelosi is. They don't know... they probably don't even know anything about Kamala Harris besides the fact that she's a Democrat. V, do you call yourself Romanian because you are the true Romans? It is part of it. Like, the Romanian mythos is that this was the place where the people called Dacians lived, and the Roman Empire came and they conquered the Dacians, and through the mixing of the Romans and the Dacians come the Romanians. So it's like, I guess, like the descendants of Romans. Anyway, I think I should end it here because there's a couple of more videos that I need to do. So thank you. Thank you guys for watching the stream. Thank you for the super chats. What day is it tomorrow? It's Friday. Okay, so I think I might be able to do this week of Stupid on Sunday, but we'll see. So let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.